Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a fascinating set of sources today, really quite something. They mix sophisticated visual memory techniques, ancient wisdom, and honestly, a pretty wild narrative. There's a fox, a parrot, and even a brain made of glass.
It's quite the combination. And our job today, as I see it, is to use this unusual setup to unpack a specific verse, Proverbs 20, verse 9.
Exactly. The question is, who can say, I have made clean my heart, I am purified from my sin? And these sources visualize that question in a, well, unforgettable way.
Right. The idea is to make the abstract concrete. We're essentially going to build this scene for you piece by piece, connecting the original Hebrew words to these very striking mnemonic images.
That's what I love about these systems. They grab hold of an idea you might just skim over in a text and make it almost physical, something you can picture.
Yeah.
So where do we start building this scene? The foundations.
The foundation, absolutely. We start with the very first word of the question in Hebrew. It sets the whole tone.
Yeah.
Simple enough, right? It means who. Who? It's the interrogative, the challenge hanging in the air. Who is making this claim?
Right. It immediately puts the burden of proof on whoever is speaking. And the speaking, the declaration itself, that's next.
Yes, that's war. It means he will say or he will declare. And the mnemonic image the sources use for this is, well, it's a parrot.
A parrot. Okay, why a parrot?
Because parrots repeat things, right? They mimic speech. So the creature making this bold claim of purity is one associated with, let's say, repetition rather than deep original insight.
Huh. That's interesting. So right from the start, there's a hint that maybe this declaration isn't entirely genuine, or at least it's performed.
Exactly. It kind of introduces this element of performance, maybe even self-deception, right into the character doing the saying. Now, what is it saying? That's the core claim.
The claim of being clean innocence. This must be where the glass comes in.
You got it. The phrase is zi-kki-ti. It means, I have made clean, or maybe better, I have declared innocent. And the image for this is perfectly transparent glass.
Okay, I can see that. Glass implies clarity, nothing hidden, purity maybe?
Precisely. It's the visual stand-in for this claimed state of perfect innocence. You can see right through it.
And what is supposedly made of this transparent glass, the verse says, my heart, libai. But you mentioned the sources do something different here. They don't show a glass heart.
Right. This is clever. They bridge the ancient Hebrew concept with something more, immediate visually. In Hebrew thought, the lod, the heart, isn't just emotion. It's the center of thought, will, decision-making. You know, the cognitive core.
Okay.
So to make that function clear visually, the system maps the heart onto the brain. It highlights that this isn't about feeling pure, it's about thinking you're pure, assessing your own mind.
Wow, okay. So let's pause there. We've got the parrot, the one who says, declaring that its cognitive center, its brain, is like perfectly transparent glass, who says their thoughts are spotless.
Exactly.
It
reframes the whole thing. It's not about ritual purity. It's about intellectual self-assessment and the claim of complete mental clarity and innocence.
Okay, the basic pieces are on the stage. But you mentioned this gets theatrical. The verse number itself comes into play, Proverbs 20.9.
Yes, the numbers become characters. This is typical in some of these mnemonic systems. The number 20 is personified as a fox, sometimes a vixen, often seen as the observer, maybe the orchestrator.
A fox, okay. And the number 9?
The number 9 is visualized as a zipper.
A fox and a zipper, or is that? So what did they do in this scene? Is the fox just watching the parrot?
No, she's more active than that. She kind of sets the main action in motion.
Yeah.
The sources describe the fox 20 watching, and then she initiates the core metaphor. She operates the zipper on the parrot's head.
She opens a zipper on the parrot's head.
Yes. The zipper represents the act of opening up, unveiling, maybe even a forced look inside the mind.
Okay, so the fox unzips the parrot's head,
Mm-hmm.
revealing the cognitive center.
Exactly. And what emerges, outslides the key piece of evidence the parrot is relying on, the glass brain. The sources even say it casts this pale light. It's smooth, transparent. This is the parrot's proof. Zikkîtî, I have made clean.
Wow. So the parrot is literally presenting its transparent brain as Exhibit A. See? Nothing murky here. Look right through my thoughts. It's equating that visible clarity with actual innocence.
That's the crux of the flawed argument right there. The parrot points to the transparent glass brain and essentially says clarity equals innocence. Because the glass is clear, the mind must be pure. But it doesn't stop there. It needs more proof.
Because the second part of the verse isn't just, I have made clean, it's also, I am purified.
Right. Hey, Hardy, I have purified myself, or I have become clean. And the image for this, it's a shining mirror surface. So the parrot, having shown its glass brain, now looks into this gleaming mirror.
Let me guess. It likes what it sees.
It loves what it sees. The mirror reflects the parrot itself, holding or displaying its perfectly gleaming glass brain. Its confirmation bias made visible. It sees a clean reflection, confirming its own assessment. See? Spotless.
It's a closed loop. Declare the brain is clear, then look in the mirror and see the clear brain reflected back. Perfect self-satisfaction.
And incredibly dangerous, right? Because it seems like the problem isn't necessarily a lack of looking inward, but looking selectively, seeing the clarity, admiring the reflection, and just stopping the analysis right there.
Yeah, that feels very real. But there's one more piece to the verse, isn't there? The kicker.
The final phrase. From my sin, zi-kki-ti. And this is where the whole visual narrative exposes the flaw. The thing the parrot is deliberately or maybe unconsciously ignoring.
Okay, let's unpack sin here. Because the original Hebrew root, it's not quite what many people think of when they hear sin, is it?
Not at all. It's fascinating. The root fundamentally means to miss the mark. Like in archery, you aimed, but you didn't hit the center. The failure isn't necessarily moral corruption, it's inaccuracy, a failure of precision.
So, if sin is missing the mark, the image for sin would be?
The target, a bullseye target, that's the mnemonic image used.
Okay, so the parrot is standing there, admiring its glass brain in the shining mirror, feeling utterly purified. But sin means missing the target. Where's the target in this scene?
Here's the genius of the mnemonic story. Behind the shining mirror, hidden from the parrot's narcissistic gaze, but part of the structure is a target.
Behind the mirror.
Behind the mirror. And stuck in that target is an arrow that clearly missed the bullseye. It's the physical evidence of the chada, the missing of the mark. It's still there. It hasn't been removed.
That is brilliant. So the parrot is celebrating the surface, the transparent brain, the shiny reflection, while the actual evidence of its failure, the sin, the missed shot, is literally right there, just obscured by the reflection it's so focused on.
It hasn't dealt with the sin, it's just covered it up with a polished self-image. The self-deception isn't about hiding some dark secret within the glass brain. The brain is transparent. The deception is choosing to focus only on that transparency and the reflection, while ignoring the objective evidence of the missed mark that's still part of the picture.
The confidence is based entirely on appearance, not on actually having fixed the underlying issue, the miss.
Exactly. It's a profound visual metaphor for denial.
Okay, this visual system really pulls it all together. It takes this deep theological question and makes it a psychological drama. So, if we synthesize this for the listener, what's the final takeaway from this whole performance?
The main point driven home by this visualization is the critical difference between perceived purity and actual purity. The glass brain represents apparent clarity, maybe even conscious honesty about one's thoughts at a surface level. The shining mirror represents self-reflection, but a potentially superficial kind.
Right. Looking good on the outside or feeling clear internally.
But neither of those guarantees that the underlying misses, the flaws, the chaya, have actually been addressed or removed. The missed target behind the mirror is that unacknowledged reality. It's the proof that the claimed purification, the zi-kki-ti, was incomplete, or maybe just cosmetic.
So the transparency isn't the whole story. You can see through the glass, but the arrow is still stuck in the target just out of view.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the very beginning. Ooh. The whole elaborate scene implies the answer is, well, likely no one. No one can truly make that claim of absolute, self-achieved purity because the evidence of imperfection, the missed mark, remains. It's part of the human condition, maybe.
It suggests we're incredibly prone to mistaking clarity or self-awareness for actual perfection or removal of fault. Seeing the clear thoughts isn't the same as erasing the past errors.
That's the core message encoded in this imagery.
It really is memorable. You end up with this picture of the clever fox watching this somewhat absurd parrot who's so caught up in its own transparent brain and shiny reflection that it completely ignores the arrow sticking out behind the mirror. A powerful piece of mnemonic storytelling.
And the final image the sources leave us with, kind of orchestrated by the Fox 20, is that tension, the question who, hanging there, between the open zipper, the revealed yet flawed mind, and the undeniable reality of the missed target still lurking behind the mirror.
We've decoded the language, built the scene, but there's always that lingering thought. What strikes you most about framing sin this way? Not as deep corruption, but simply as missing the mark.
Well, if the core issue isn't about inherent evil, but about, say, accuracy or precision, hitting the bullseye, It changes the nature of the challenge, doesn't it? It sort of invites you, the listener, to look past the shiny surface of your own glass brain, to ask maybe what missed marks, what unacknowledged arrows might be hidden just behind that reflection you polish up for yourself each day.
A really potent and, yeah, maybe unsettling way to think about self-assessment. A fantastic deep dive today into language, memory, and maybe the blind spots and how we see ourselves. Thank you for exploring these sources with us.